Catia V5 import files in Digitized Shape Editor. Okay, so I'm gonna start the workbench Digitized Shape Editor, and I wanna discuss various aspects regarding the import tool over here. So, for the case study, I'm gonna use this 3D model. So this is a 3D printable house Stark. The author Ricardo Alves. The model is free to download. I'm also gonna leave this link within the video description. So we see over here that the sampling when opening an STL format is grayed out. Currently for me it's 15% because I have changed that. If I will go to ASCII and I will have the sampling back to 100. Now if I'm gonna go back to STL, by default it will be grayed out, but it will maintain that that value, that 100%. You can also click on this more. So over here we're gonna have this free edges, create scan and create faces. Now if I'm just gonna click on apply, I'm gonna see that the model will be imported over here. We see the positioning of that STL file regarding our 000 within this part. If I'm just gonna click on OK, I'm gonna have this open and I can rotate around it. If I'm gonna expand the tree, I'm gonna see that this will be the model. And again, we have the possibility to go to Insert, Analysis, Information. And over here we're gonna have some aspects regarding this. So we see the number of points, the visible points, also the number of triangles. To better understand this file structure, if I'm gonna zoom in within a section like this, and I'm gonna go at the bottom, show wireframe. So this will be the wireframe. Over here we have, so the points are represented by the vertices of the mesh. So over here, for example, we have one vertex, one over here, and one over here. And they are joined by a triangle. So we see number of triangles. So this is a mesh defined by triangles, not by quads, like other meshes in other softwares. I'm gonna have this hidden for now, and I'm gonna import that again. But now I will uncheck this create scans. I will click on update again. I see that if I click on update, I have the possibility to also trim some elements from the mesh. But for this second case study, I'm just gonna click on apply. And we're gonna have the first model that was this. I'm gonna have this set to that color, and the second one I'm gonna make it green. And we see that the second imported mesh perfectly overlaps the original one. So if I'm gonna have this hidden, I see over here, but with this it will be all green, so I don't see the other mesh. So basically with the create scans and faces, you will have the same model. Now I'm gonna have both of these hidden, and I'm gonna uncheck this create faces, and again I'm gonna open the same file. And we see that without the create faces, the software will only import the vertices, the points from that STL file. So just like we talked initially about those facets created by defined by multiple vertices, within this we're just gonna have the point. So if I'm gonna hide that, I have this point, that one, and that one, and they define that mesh over here. So we only see the points. When you are working with points, you can have the software define the mesh, but we're gonna talk within a different video more details about mesh creation. For now, I'm just gonna have this created at a neighborhood with a default value, almost 0.06. I'm gonna hit apply, and now the software will recreate that mesh by joining with triangles all those points. But we see that the mesh is not that smooth as the original one. So if I'm gonna have this colored differently, for example, I'm gonna make it blue, and I'm gonna unhide the first one, we're gonna see that there are some areas where the blue surface is a little bit offsetted, and in other regions I will see the brown original mesh. Also, if I'm gonna have this hidden, we see this is the original mesh. We see it doesn't have that much noise, but if I'm gonna put the blue one created by Catia, we have various noise over here. So the mesh creation tool can be adjusted, but currently it has created some faces over here that are not that smooth. If I'm gonna go to wireframe, I'm gonna see those triangles that the software created. Also, let's also talk about the trim tool that is directly included within the import section. So I'm gonna have this all hidden. I'm gonna have it imported again, but I want to create facets. So have that checked, also the scans, and I have the possibility to trim my model. Currently, since this model has already been cleaned and uploaded over here on the myminifactory.com, this, let's say, it's not mandatory for this model. But if you have a 3D scan and you don't want to spend time removing various points, you can do that directly over here. So for the case study, I'm gonna trim it like this. So the bottom part of the woof ornament. I'm gonna click on apply, and we're gonna see that we have this outline for the cutting section. So even though we only remove this part over here from the front, Catia is also removed some elements from the back. So this is mainly because the object was filled like this. So if you're gonna take a look at the top part, there are not that many triangles at the top. We see multiple lines linking these points to the edge, but the number of points on the back of this model is not that high as it is onto the other sections. So there are better solutions to do a section cut within a 3D model. If you do it like this directly on the STL, if the mesh hasn't been retopologized, so that means that it has the same, let's say, number of vertices distributed also on the back and in front of the surface, trimming like this will result in large areas to be removed, so it's not desirable. We see over here also those faces, how they are linked. But if I'm gonna go onto the initial model, there are also some problems regarding this feeling that the STL file has created. Okay, but we're gonna talk about that in a different video. So feel free to check my other videos from this section for that. So let's take a look at some other aspects. So we talked about importing 1-digit files, but you can also import several digit files or import parameters. So we saw this test that allows to import a digit file describing a point cloud scanned or computed a mesh or even a mesh. You can also use this format, IGS 106, directly within the import section, but there are also multiple file formats, but the most popular is STL, and you're gonna find the most references as STL or maybe some SG files, but you can also use IGS or other file formats. Some of them are quite old and let's say maybe obsolete, like 3D XML currently in Catia V5 is quite old. Maybe in your version it's better, but the most popular are the ASCII file format and STL, which is quite popular. So you can adjust the sampling %, but for STL files that will be grayed out. You don't have the possibility. For other file formats you can have that adjusted. So maybe I want a sampling of 50%, but now I should have this also exported as an ASCII to have that applied. It won't work on STL. If I will try like this, I will see that the software isn't able to extract that file format from the STL. I will have to have it open separately, save the STL and ASCII file, and after that I would import it. But keep in mind that those ASCII files are just those meshes, so STL file are usually, let's say, better. So over here we have that trimming. We can also go on the file unit. You can have this scaled. You can also define the file unit. This is something that if you work with other software, for example Blender or others, the file size will be different. But if you are using some 3D meshes obtained using 3D scanning, those will maintain their original dimension. So keep that in mind. Usually it's good to go on millimeters with those. This is regarding the trimming of the model. So you can do that directly with the scan, but as presented with the back of this ornament, there are some problems if you're gonna trim it like this. So even though you only want to cut the bottom part, that first of all it won't be a straight cut, it will go along the vertices of that mesh. So we see over here, these were the vertices that the software decided to trim. We can do a more precise cut directly within Catia within surface. So we see the bounding box. You can have that trim. Okay, so that's pretty much the aspects that I wanted to discuss within the importing 1-digit files in Catia V5. I hope that you find this video useful. I will start and define a video for each tool. So this was the first one, the import. I will go within all the functions from Digitized Shape Editor, and hopefully you found this video useful and you learned something. If so, please feel free to leave a comment in the bottom section, or also maybe consider subscribing if you find this useful. Okay, thanks.